Okay, so you're having a discussion with someone and they are making some points that you agree with. Now, there are different ways to express the extent to which we agree. So we can either completely agree with someone, or we could just partially agree with them. So we only agree with some of what they are saying. Let's go through those variations now. So let's say that we are in complete agreement with what someone is saying. We could use the phrase, "I agree completely," or "There's no doubt about that." We could also say, "I totally or absolutely agree with you," or "That's exactly what I think." If we want to be more formal or businesslike, we can use the phrase, "I am of the same opinion." We can also agree completely with short phrases, saying, "For sure," "Exactly," "Of course." Now, let's say that someone makes a statement that you don't entirely agree with, but you partly agree with them. You could say, "I mostly agree with you," or "I agree to an extent." If you want to highlight to someone that you agree with their idea, but in reality, you don't really think it works, you could use the phrase, "I agree in principle." Or you could say, "I agree in part." So when we agree, as we have seen, we express the extent to which we agree with someone. But when we disagree, there is no middle ground. So basically, we just straight up don't agree with them. But this is a very delicate thing because we don't ever want to sound too harsh and too direct, as we know from this course so far. So how do we express disagreement in a way that is still polite, respectful, and kind of indirect? We could use the phrase, "That's not entirely true," or "It might seem that way, but," or "I see what you're saying, but." Using a phrase like "that's not entirely true," again, has an indirect function with the quantifier entirely. So this makes it a lot less harsh than simply saying "that's not true," which feels a little bit too much like an argument is going to start. Saying "it might seem that way, but," or "I see what you're saying, but," is showing empathy. So it shows we understand why someone would think that way, even though we do not share that opinion. You could also say, "I doubt whether that's the case," which is showing you don't think that that's true, but again is much less harsh than just saying "that's not true." If you want to specifically draw attention to the part of someone's argument that you don't agree with, you can say, "The part I don't agree with is," and this allows people to have a constructive conversation to focus on how to come to agreement rather than focusing on the disagreement itself. You can also say, "I'm of a different opinion," or "I don't believe that to be true." All of these phrases were appropriate for both formal and casual settings, but let's look at some phrases that are specifically good for professional context. Saying, "I'm afraid I have to disagree with you," or "With all due respect, I disagree with you," or "I'm sorry, but I have to disagree," are all really great in a business context because they are showing this regret that there is a disagreement in the first place. And this is important to maintain harmony in the workplace. Alright, here are the phrases again from this lecture. Write them down in your notes and then let's move on to the next lecture where we will cover how to soften our opinions so that we do not land up offending people with sweeping statements or generalizations.